Bob Dylan, born Robert Allen Zimmerman on May 24, 1941, in Duluth, Minnesota, is one of the most influential and celebrated musicians of all time. Raised in Hibbing, Minnesota, he was drawn to music from a young age, inspired by folk, blues, and early rock and roll artists like Woody Guthrie, Hank Williams, and Little Richard. During his teenage years, he played in various bands, imitating the rock and roll sound before transitioning to folk music, which resonated deeply with his poetic sensibilities. In 1959, Dylan enrolled at the University of Minnesota but soon dropped out and moved to New York City in 1961 to pursue a career in music. There, he immersed himself in the Greenwich Village folk scene, where he met his hero Woody Guthrie, whose influence would shape his early songwriting and political outlook. Dylan's self-titled debut album, Bob Dylan, 1962, contained mostly folk and blues covers, with only 2 original songs. However, his second album, The Freewheelin' Bob Dylan, 1963, launched him into prominence with classics like Blowin' in the Wind and A Hard Rain's A-Gonna Fall, songs that became anthems of the civil rights and anti-war movements. Dylan's next albums, The Times They Are A-Changin', 1964, and Another Side of Bob Dylan, 1964, cemented his status as the voice of a generation. His poetic lyrics, often filled with social and political commentary, captured the spirit of the turbulent 1960s. In 1965, Dylan shocked folk purists by going electric at the Newport Folk Festival, a moment that changed the course of rock history. His album Bringing It All Back Home, 1965, blended folk with rock, followed by Highway 61 Revisited, 1965, which featured the legendary Like a Rolling Stone. This period saw Dylan pushing musical and lyrical boundaries, culminating in the masterpiece Blonde on Blonde, 1966, one of the first double albums in rock history. Following a motorcycle accident in 1966, Dylan retreated from the public eye, shifting his sound to a more country-influenced style with John Wesley Harding, 1967, and Nashville Skyline, 1969. Throughout the 1970s and beyond, Dylan continued evolving, releasing critically acclaimed albums such as Blood on the Tracks, 1975, often considered one of his greatest works, and Desire, 1976. He also explored Christian themes in Slow Train Coming, 1979, during his Born Again phase. The 1980s saw a mix of experimental and commercial efforts, but Dylan revitalized his career in the 1990s and 2000s with a series of acclaimed albums, including Time Out of Mind, 1997, which won the Grammy for Album of the Year, and Modern Times, 2006, proving his timeless relevance. Bob Dylan's impact on music, literature, and culture is unparalleled. He has sold over 125 million records worldwide, won 10 Grammy Awards, an Oscar, a Golden Globe, and the Presidential Medal of Freedom. In 2016, he became the first musician to win the Nobel Prize in Literature, recognized for his profound and poetic lyrics. Bob Dylan remains an icon of artistic reinvention, a musical poet whose words and melodies have defined generations. His influence spans folk, rock, blues, and beyond, making him one of the most enduring and transformative artists in modern history.